Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Train Set. Now, it has been a little bit longer since my last chapter really on this O gauge that's sitting behind me on this shelf. And I must say that not much has changed up here. And there is a reason for that. But if you remember, before I started this series, the idea was to take a bit of a break. And a gentleman by the name of Paul put up a video which set me off on this course of action. So it's his fault that you got 4 videos all 1 week apart. That wasn't the idea, but there we are. I do get enthusiastic. Living alone, obviously jobs around the house, if I don't do them, they don't get done. So this morning it's been a horrible day, it's been raining and whatever. I went up and did the ironing, so picture coming up. So as I use a steam iron, I always hang up the clothes that I've ironed to dry out a bit. Not me actually doing it, but yeah, I have to do the jobs. And I must admit, it's a lot easier to come and have a go with the old railway than it is to do the household chores. Oh dear, never mind. So, even when I was trying to do my household chores, I still came down here and I did buy from TMC some of these. Rusty rails, and yeah, they're lamps. And obviously they do need to be painted, so I've started painting them. Now I don't tend to use any primer, which probably makes it harder, but you can see I'm beginning to paint them white, and this is acrylic white, by the way. And then I'll obviously try and get a dab of red or something on the lens, and I might try and paint the actual handle that you hold them with in another colour. I don't know, we'll see. Don't think I've got any chrome or anything that I can do them with, but whatever. But what I did, if you look at this other one, well, I've done them all, but I don't know if you can see that, but I've drilled a hole in the bottom because unfortunately with these there aren't any brackets that you can slide over the brackets that are on the guard van, for instance, which I'll show you now. So if you notice, on the back of this O gauge guards van that I bought, there are the brackets for the lamps, aren't there? And there's also one, although it probably doesn't show up, one there. So what I tried to do was to drop one of these on here, which was completely unsuccessful because they all broke off. Only being plastic, and they're very, very small, and I don't know if you can see this, I've just dropped it on the floor, well done. You won't see that now because it's, oh there it is. At least with O gauge it's easier to find things that are on the floor. Let's see if I can get that on my thumb so you can see it. Not ideal, but there we are. So very, very flimsy. And the hole in the lamps are a lot bigger than you need, so I didn't even have to sort of force it on. So what have I done? Well, the end that you saw that they were on, I'm going to leave that as it is because being a braked van, i.e. by the colour, it wouldn't need lamps so that the driver in the logo can see that he's still got a train. The guard would be able to break the train that had broken away. That's how I understand it anyway. But as you know, it's Robert's Train Set, so anything goes. So if you remember, I bought some 1mm piano wire. So what I've done is I've bent the end of the wire over and then cut them off, hopefully with enough on that I can drill a neat hole in the ends here and stick them in with some probably Aerodite or super glue probably, and then hopefully I can get a lamp on it. Now I don't think a lamp will go on it at the moment because it's got the old clips, but let's have a go. And yes, I have to hold it up because of the thing, but yes, it goes on. Now, obviously, it would originally, technically, it should be there on the back, but with the way these are, maybe not. So it might have been better to buy ones that did have some brackets or some bits of plastic on the back that you could sit over. Anyway, there we are. So I'm waiting for these to dry, and then I'll try and glue them in. And then I've obviously got all these others for maybe putting them on the coaches. I've painted them white because from what I can see, most of them are white. You do occasionally see a red one, which I'm not quite sure the difference between. I don't know. So when they're dried, I painted a blob of red on there, as you can see, and I did the yellow. Could be brass, couldn't it? And then I stuck in the ones I'd made. And this is the enamel I used, just a basic gloss, which worked very well. And the brackets, acrylic paint. So let's just see a train running. And I must admit they're all running beautifully. Later on I'll try and quieten down the Jinty. Where will that go, I wonder? I just thought I'd show you this on the rolling road with the firebox glow, and you can see the under frame detail working. Can you see that? Very faint, but it's there. So with the brackets glued in, I popped them on. They don't look too bad. I think when I finally fit them, I'll put a bit of blue tack or something in to keep them solid. But I tried to fit this one on, and it just snapped off like the others. So yeah, I drilled a hole in here right near the back so that it wasn't trying to force it over. So I tried it on the other end, and this time it did work, being very gentle with it. So there's a bracket on the back of this hopper, and I thought, can I get one on there? And I could. So yeah, still in the process of painting, of course. So I gave the Jinty a run with a couple of wagons behind, and in this it seems really quiet, doesn't it? But it does make a noise, more so forwards than it does backwards, and you might be able to hear it a little bit, yeah, so I thought I'd have a go at least at maybe oiling this a little bit, only little bits of oil. So I started off by taking the base plate off, and you have to take these bits out of the rigging, the brake rigging. And yeah, that's what's underneath. Pretty simple. Little drop of oil on this. I'd already oiled, yes, they're the brake bits that you have to sort of put back in again. And there they are, with it all back together again. So I then thought I'd try it with the body off, which was pretty easy to get off. A couple of screws, 4 screws, and yeah, it was off. There's so much room inside, isn't there? And I thought this was pretty quiet, really. Obviously it's only as good as the camera can pick it up, but yeah, if it ran like this I'd be quite happy. So I then took the little cover off, and I put a little drop of oil on that as well. And again, it was, you know, quite acceptable, I thought. I don't know what you think. Both forwards and backwards. So, yeah, no complaints on this. It all seems to be working very well, shall we say, with no real issues. So then I put it on the rolling road, and I've run that. So just have a listen to this going. So there do appear to be some noises, and obviously at this speed you're hearing the rollers and everything, so it doesn't really work, does it? So I ran it along the track, and yeah, it might be marginally better, but not quite like the others, to be honest. Well, with the exception of the 09, which I haven't looked at yet. Might do. But as I said, it is running well, so let's leave well alone, shall we? So then I thought I'd show the 3MT and see what that was like. And I love the valve gear on this. It's really super, isn't it? And as well as backwards, I think it's really quiet, really. I think a lot of the noise is from the rollers, to be honest. So again, let's run it up the layout and see how it goes. Why not? Any excuse to see these beautiful locos running along. And in silence. Well, almost in silence. So we had a problem here. It would derail on this bit, or rather the back bogie would. And I just wondered whether there's a kink in the track or something. We'll have to see what happens when I fit the, the proper layout. So I decided to get out my boards and get this. Now I couldn't use the shaped bit from the other one because I wanted to keep it up because I had somebody coming to see it. So I cut out the Pico sample. So it begins. I bought in my temporary tables, and you can see the masking tape that signifies the size that I've got outside in the conservatory. If I just walk along, so this being the wall, and that at the moment being what I've worked out at with about a 45mm overlap of the unit. But by doing this, I've determined I need to come out another 45mm because otherwise it's all too tight. I also need to move this section further that way to allow for these trains to pass, because before they weren't. Keeping the 660mm point that we need for the length of the train up to the window at the other end, at this, rather this end. So what it will mean is shortening this bit, I think, which will have its own problems because that's where the level crossing is meant to go. So we'll have to see how that works out. It might have to infringe into this point. It'd be fun. Or even that point, we'll have to see. But it would be rather difficult to do it, but I suppose it can be done. This bit needs to be chopped off because that's the bit that's coming from up there, and that's why we've had to increase the width, because it wasn't fitting. Now, having the point that is actually on the layout outside, which I don't want to disturb, I printed out the full size from Pico, so that's what that is. And as you can see, I've sort of lined it up with that, and hopefully with the extra 45mm it will actually be enough room. I think I can always bend this a little bit more because all that will be going along here are engines, although the 3MT tank might have a bit of a struggle, I don't know. So there we are. And what I've done here is I've finally printed it out and put some new sizes on, so that I know what I'm doing, because I will forget. So I can at least now, hopefully, order my timber. Yeah, so see how we get on. So I've written it in black felt tip pen here to make sure I get it right, and also I've had to keep this point in the bit that's going to come out, so I've got a little bit of tolerance on here, but I think what I'm going to do is set the fixed top back a little bit from the edge so that this one will sit down on it, and then I'm hoping to have some biscuits in there, probably in the under frame, and also do a vertical one so that it locks it in. So we'll have to see how we go. I've obviously got a lot of cutting in and that, but I just wanted to get a rough idea of what we were doing, and I think it sort of set my mind a bit that yes, what I'd originally drawn wouldn't work. Primarily, if I show you slowly, because where that is, it was just I didn't have enough length to get the trains back so that they missed each other. So yeah, it was worth doing. So let's see what we're going to do next on this video. So I was surprised to see that you use double O rail joiners for this O gauge track. And the same with the insulated ones. So as you can see, there's a bit of a problem here. You have the sleepers all trying to hit each other. So, and also it was too near to the thing, so I had to cut these out to slide it on to get the jointers on. And yeah, even when I've done that, yes, you've got to cut this back. So I marked it up as best I could. And cut them with my Dremel and put it in. And obviously trying to check that it's straight across the point, as you can see. So I buggered it up the first three, didn't I, or two. The others aren't too bad. But remember, this is temporary at the moment, so with the overhang at the end there, I can actually cut that bit off where I've got the sleepers a bit wrong and redo them. And maybe do them a bit better next time. And I've probably got a similar problem at the end where the big, you know, the point is to go into the engine shed. So, yeah. So there it is. So to finish, let's show the trains running, and I thought I'd use the 3MT on this auto coach, which would never happen obviously, but you know, it's Robert's train set. And I'm really showing, you know, what we're hoping to do with the new layout. So that pulls into the siding and you isolate it. And then we ran the 121. But I got clever here and we had a problem. So let's see what actually happened. And yes, the dreaded buffer lock again. But if you do it backwards, or in reverse, it works okay. Strange. So let's run that again. So I ran the 3MT in with the auto coach. So it's coming on, and you notice that the signal wasn't up because I thought it was a bit too long, but it was actually by the cab, so
The driver probably could have seen it. And then I put the signal right and brought in the 121 bubble car, which worked lovely. So remember, this point will only be used to get into the engine shed, so it shouldn't cause a problem. And then it's time for the auto coach to be driven backwards with the 3MT on it. So there we are. So I hope you've enjoyed watching all this, and join me for the next episode, whenever that might be.